Hi, everybody. This is Coach Allison back for Defy Aging, and we are in week 23. And this week, we're going to have two mini circuits going on at the same time, each with 3 stations in them. And everything is timed 30 seconds on, 40 seconds off. So this week, you are going to get more rest time than your work time for all of your sets, which is kind of nice, kind of different, a little extra recovery time. You're going to complete 3 rounds. I don't know if I said that already. 3 rounds at your circuit. There's circuit A and circuit B. All 3 rounds at your circuit before we switch circuits. So it doesn't matter if you start in circuit A or in circuit B. It doesn't matter where you start. But you're going to complete all 3 rounds before you switch to the other circuit. Also, while we're in the break time between switching from circuit A to B or from B to A, we're going to do something else too. We're going to do a little high intensity interval with some cardio, and that's going to be the main cardio for the week as well, because there are no cardio specific stations involved in the circuits this week. So after you finish the first 3 rounds of your starting circuit, whether that's A or B, we're going to do 5 rounds. We're just going to spread out wherever you're at. We need some floor space. 5 rounds of jumping jacks, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So that's going to be just a quick little high intensity interval for the cardiac, the metabolic, the cardio of that. So jumping jacks for a couple of minutes. We'll take a nice long break after that. Then we'll switch to the other circuit that you didn't start with and finish out the routine that way. And of course, a team builder at the end. So a little different this week, kind of shaking things up. Let's get to some demonstrations. With circuit A, station 1 is going to be a mini band high knee. This one's a little different. We do use the mini bands, which we've used many times. However, the way we're going to utilize them is very different. I don't think we've ever done this before. You're only going to place the band around, you see where it is around the front of my foot? So we're not actually going to place the band any higher up onto the leg or the ankle. Definitely use something for balance like we did last week with the abduction. And we're going to do a high knee. So you have to keep your foot flexed. So you have to keep that flexion in your foot like this, because we have to keep the band on the top of the foot. And we lift that knee as high as you can, pulling more tension on the band the higher we go. Don't come down all the way because we don't want to release 100% of the tension. So just, as you can see, just bring it down until it releases, a good majority of the tension. And then go right back up halfway through the set. We're going to switch legs. You shouldn't have to turn around, because as you see, I just kind of shifted my weight a little and I was able to switch legs just fine. So you shouldn't have to, stop. And it is really cumbersome to have to kind of walk with the band around this part of the foot. So you shouldn't have to turn around when you switch sides, even though you're holding the wall. You should be able just to kind of shift your body weight and switch sides. So anyway, that is a new way of utilizing these mini bands. We're going to give that a try this week. All right, station 2 for circuit A is an alternating chest press. So many variations of chest presses that we do. So this week we're going to do the alternating. Have your weights kind of resting on your thighs before you lie down, and kind of lie down with them, and they should pop right into position here. I want to do that instead of lying down first and then kind of grabbing them. That just it is not really great on your arms and your shoulders to do it that way. And arms in position, they don't want to be straight out from the side like this. You want to kind of dip the elbow down at a slight downward angle. So as you can kind of see, it is angled a little bit down. And all we do from here is one arm at a time, alternating. Let the arm come all the way down to the floor before you start the other side. Exhale on the way up. And when you're done, we're going to place them down like this. That's the safest sort of angle and way to put them down, safest on your shoulders. And there we go. Anyone staying off the floor, we'll have some incline. We'll have an incline bench in the space. So you can sit on the bench and just kind of recline back. It's a great alternative. And there we go, alternating chest press. All right, next, our final station for the circuit A is a band back row. So many back rows we do. Dumbbells, kettlebells, single arm, double arm, bent over, upright, TRX, band. I love it. Back rows are so versatile. So this week, I've done this before. Band. You have the band anchored up somewhere. I have it just tied, anchored, or looped around the rack. Pretty straightforward there. And we're going to do neutral palm, just like kind of the neutral grip TRX row. I like to stagger my stance. I feel more sturdy that way. So I'm going to stagger my stance. You can stand feet parallel if you prefer. With feet parallel, just look out for not like leaning back to sort of help your row. So when I stagger my stance, I feel like it helps me to not feel like I have to lean back. So anyways, should keep your shoulders down, so avoid shrugging. As you pull, you want to make sure that you're getting your chest out, because that helps you to squeeze your shoulder blades, which we want to do with a back row because that helps you activate your back muscles. If you pull your arms but then kind of cave your chest in like this, which can tend to happen if you're not paying attention, that doesn't really, you're actually not activating your back muscles at all. And then it's not having the desired effect of a back row. So if you get that chest out, and then that kind of automatically, if you watch my upper back here, it kind of squeezes those shoulder blades together, then you're doing everything right. So slow and steady, shoulder blades together, shoulders down away from the ears. Slow and steady reps. You can, the farther back you stand, the more tension you're pulling on the band, so you can change the tension with where you're standing. Of course, you can also pick a different band. So that's our band back row. Try those two different ways of standing, see what works better for you. And let's get our back worked out pretty good this week. Okay, so that was the demonstrations for Circuit A. I'll get to the demos for the exercises in Circuit B in just a second. But this in the workout routine, this is where everyone, whether you started in Circuit A or Circuit B, this is where everyone's going to come together, and we're going to do 5 rounds of 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off of standard jumping jacks or alternative option step jack, or a mixed match of the two. You can do some of each, but whatever, 5 rounds of that, and that's going to be our main cardio for the week, for the routine. So again, that is going to be in the middle between when you switch from Circuit A to Circuit B or Circuit B to Circuit A. But yeah, that is at this point of the routine. And now I'll do the demonstrations for Circuit B. All right, Circuit B, the first station is a kettlebell squat. Pretty straightforward. We're not doing a goblet, however, so the weight will be hanging straight down, but it's not a sumo. Normally when we hold the weight straight down, our legs are wide and we're in a sumo, so it's not that. So, but your legs will have to be wide enough to allow, or maybe the black ball behind here is tricky to see because I'm wearing all black. Anyway, the legs will have to be wide enough just to kind of allow the kettlebell and the arms to go between them. So it might be a teeny bit wider than your normal stance. Like if I was just doing a regular squat, I would probably put my legs right here. But this isn't wide enough for this. So grabbing the kettlebell, I would have to step like a tiny bit wider. But it's still very different than a sumo. A sumo is like excessive with the toes pointed out, right? So very different. Anyway, so you might try one and it's like, oh, that's not enough. And then you have to step a little wider. That's fine. Just make sure we're not doing a deadlift. So don't default to a deadlift by accident. Make sure chest is staying relatively up and you are bending the knees. So it is a knee bend. It is a squat. It's different because we almost always with the kettlebells, we hold that goblet style. So it's going to be muscle memory to want to pick that kettlebell up. So, and then with the kettlebell hanging down, it's going to be muscle memory, I think, to want to go into a deadlift. So might take a little bit of reforming our brain pattern or whatever. So yeah, kettlebell squat this week. Let's give it a shot. Okay, then some shoulder. It's strengthening and mobility. We've done it before. Kettlebell halo is the next station. We're going to do a halo to a press. So a little bit of a combination in there. So bottoms up starting position, hands at the kind of the base of the handle. We go around the head. And then when you get back to the front, we press. Oh. And then each time, if you can remember which direction, each time you start a new rep, try to go the other direction. Taking the side if that helps. Halo, around, and up. Okay? For the halo, we want to keep it low and tight. Okay? So by that I mean keeping it low. See, I'm trying to keep it kind of close down, especially in the back. Back here is where it wants to go up high. So keep it low. Trying to keep it close to my shoulders, close to my chest, as opposed to, like way up here. That's what that means. and then keeping it tight. So not letting it come way out. Okay, so low and tight. I have a hair clip in, so I had to keep it out a little to not hit my hair clip. But and then for the press, try to do a full extension, kind of like when we did that barbell press 2 weeks ago. When you go up, end up over your head, and then bring it back down under your chin. So you do have to kind of go around, like around your head, and then straight back up. Okay. All right, kettlebell halo with the press. Let's really get the strength and the mobility in these shoulders this week. Oh boy, this might be the consensus, might be this is the hardest one of the week. I don't know, we'll see. Plank push-up. So it's a great mix of core because it's got a plank component and chest and shoulders and arms because it has a push-up component. So yeah, we're going to start in a standard plank, which is on the elbows and the toes, or elbows and the knees, either one. Remember, if you're doing a knee version, hips are parallel to the floor like this, not steepled up like this. Okay, so you start in the plank and then you replace. This is very important. When you do this, you are replacing where your elbow was with your hand. So you're taking your hand, bringing it back here. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Taking my hand, bringing it back to where my elbow was. See that? And I'm going to do the same thing with my other arm. I'm going to push up. And then as I come back down, I'm now going to place my elbow where my hand now is. And same thing on the other side. Okay? Now the reason I'm pointing that out is because we see a lot of this. Watch this. Just kind of keeping the arms where they are and the hands where they are and kind of just going up. You actually do want to lift that hand up and move it back. Okay, so what I like to do is lead with the same arm for the first half and then start leading with the other arm for the second half of the set. I think it's easiest to do it that way. Again, if you're on your knees, make sure those hips are staying level. Okay, it's the same thing and it's still extremely challenging on the knees. Up, up, down, down, up, up, down, but we're not keeping the hips up like this. Okay, very important. You can definitely do this on an incline, no problem. Come up to an incline plank, just like a standard modified incline plank. And same thing though, make sure you're lifting that hand, taking it back to where the elbow was. And can you see me okay? Yeah. And we're not just doing this and kind of like, hope that all made sense. It's a little tricky, a little confusing. It's very challenging. So definitely start on an incline, maybe try that first. And if it feels like you're ready to get down to the floor, then try the floor. However you'd like to try that, but it might be the trickiest one of the week. So let's give it a shot. Okay, team builder, another medicine ball one. It's going to be a fun one with the whole team working together. So everyone's going to be lined up in a line again. However, this time it's going to be facing, like if you're standing in the line at a checkout at a store. It's going to be all facing forward. Okay? It's a medicine ball over the shoulder. So the tricky thing about over the shoulder is we want to go heavy. So I want everyone to be using the 10 or 12 pound medicine balls each gym. But I see a lot of people trying to throw it, and you aren't actually throwing it. You're placing it on the shoulder and then just letting it fall. You're kind of rolling it over the shoulder. So I want you to pretend you're trying to lift like a 100-pound boulder over your shoulder. And if you were doing that, you certainly wouldn't be able to throw it, right? It would be hoisting it up and then rolling it over, if you kind of think of that. So the first person in the line is going to pick it up, bring it over one shoulder. Can't see my face. Maybe you'll still be able to see what I'm doing. You don't need to see my face. Bring it up to the shoulder and just kind of let it fall. The next person behind me would pick it up, do that same thing. Everyone's going to do the same side the whole way down. The key is I want the first person to start a second ball right away on the other side. So if I was the first person, I just did my left side. I'm going to pick up the second ball, go to my right side, and then the second person would pick it up, do their right side. So the two medicine balls are going pretty swiftly along the line. And we're going to go down and back, maybe do 2 rounds of it or a couple minutes of it, whatever your coach decides, however much time you have. But again, when it's your turn to pick it up safely, bend the knees up to the shoulder, let it fall. Okay? And yeah, that's our medicine ball over the shoulder. See how quickly we can get it down the line. And I think this will be a fun one, kind of different. All right, everybody, that is week 23. Hope you enjoyed this routine breakdown, a little different, a couple new moves, I think. And we'll see you back next week.